I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kamen Riders. I'm your host. My name is Josh, joined as always by Toby Tobes. What's up, Toby?
Not much, Josh.
Toby, we, I should say, are a Kamen Rider review podcast, and we're here to watch Kamen Rider Geats. We watched episode 15. That's what we're talking about today. But before we get into that, Toby.
Well, before we get into that, if we have to explain to people what the show is,
Yeah.
I want to point out that we're called the Kamen Riders because the show is Kamen Rider,
That's
and
good.
we comment on the show.
That's
Kamen
true.
Rider.
Thank you for breaking it down for people. Yeah. We never really reeled it back that far. We told people it was a pun, but there's a chance that we've had people sitting out there for 15 episodes now and be like, what is it a pun about? I just don't get it.
Comment what? No, they're talking.
They're not commenting on anything.
We do that when we write emails and reviews.
That is true. Yeah, that's fair. I can see someone being very confused. We
I
did
can
have a
feel-
string. We did have a string, Toby, of you renaming the podcast, though.
We did. We should have named it Here Comes the Highlight. I thought about that earlier today.
Yeah.
Or Here Comes the Highlights. And that would have been like a pun too, because he says highlight, but we have multiple highlights, so it's highlights.
No, you told me that one early on. We had that conversation. Maybe it was off podcast, but you told me that specific thing of like, then it's like multiple highlights, more than one. I remember you having that epiphany.
You know, we just had a conversation before the show about like gaslighting each other into believing things. I'm pretty sure I never did that. And you're just telling me I did it because it sounds like something I would do. And now I kind of believe it.
No, it's real. It really is a thing you said, because I remember at the time thinking how dumb it sounded. I was like, it's not multiple highlights, just a single highlight still. Yeah. That does lock us in pretty hard to Kamen Rider Geats specifically. So, you know, if we keep doing this and like review another season down the road, then it wouldn't be appropriate anymore.
Well, we should stick with what we're doing then. That seems like
I
the
think
best idea of all.
I think we're nailing it, really. Speaking of names, Toby, let's go ahead and jump into this email that we received this week.
Where does that email come from?
This email comes from Charlie in Texas. And Charlie says, I would like to put my hat in the ring for a new funny and pun title. So here we go. So Charlie has taken up the mantle and trying to usurp you.
So before you tell the rest of Charlie's story, please give the backstory to Charlie's email.
like when I asked you about it?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So Toby, you know, we talked about, has been doing these horrible pun titles for the show and had a string of that. And then he'd stopped, and we talked about the fact that you'd stopped. And then like right after that, it felt like we got this email. And the pun that I'm about to read you is, I'm sorry, Charlie, so bad that it felt like it had to have been from Toby under a pseudonym.
The best part is Josh's message to me says, okay, are you Charlie from Texas? You have to tell me if you are. And it sounds like almost like he was talking to me like I was a cop. And he's like, you have to tell me if you're a cop, right? You can't just set me up like this.
You have to tell me you're Charlie from Texas, otherwise it's entrapment. I'm still not 100% convinced that you're not Charlie from Texas, and this isn't just a long ruse. But I'll play along, Charlie, in air quotes. So Charlie says,
wait. One last thing before you say it. I'll try. I will react appropriately. But if I somehow like laugh hysterically off of this, and you're like, "This is the worst pun ever," it's just gonna be the perfect close to this whole Charlie drama.
Okay. So Charlie says, since the command twin buckle has been revealed, so that's the one where they turn into the jet fighter, basically. So since the command twin buckle has been revealed, I would like to put forth the idea of, here's the podcast name, Kamen Twin Podcast. Kament Twin Podcast.
Charlie, lose our email, buddy.
Charlie says, it's not my best work, but it's relevant and it's the best I can think of right now.
See, so being a Charlie like, I will say when you run into that wall of like, I want to think of a witty joke for this, and like you're on a time limit, you do start reaching after a while.
Here's the thing that I love about Charlie, and this is gonna sound like a negative, but Charlie, I appreciate you and I adore you. You don't have to send an email, bro. It's not my best work, but it's the best I can do right now. Is like something you tell your high school teacher when you're like turning in an essay that you didn't spend enough time on. like you could have just waited another week and come up with a better pun.
Charlie was so excited, and you're punching down so hard right now. He just got like 4 minutes in the episode. He's like, "Oh my god, they found my email."
No, I like Charlie. I want to hear more puns from you. So Toby's fired from puns. That's what we're learning.
Fired / eliminated / retired, whatever the proper phase out is.
Your position has been eliminated. Charlie, however, listen, this first crack at the pun title, not the best pun that I've ever heard. I think we can all agree, but I see potential in you, Charlie, and I want to hear more. So if you're out there, if you're listening, I want to hear your second idea. I want to hear your third idea. Keep sending them in when they pop in your head. I think we're going to strike gold at some point with Charlie. You know, Charlie's one of those ones you got to put in a little bit of work. You got to put in a little bit of time, but I think we'll
shine it up real nice.
Exactly.
Charlie, my first one was common sense. And you know, that was maybe a swing and a miss, but my follow-up was cure for the common cold. And that's what really struck gold as well.
Yeah, exactly. Your second one was so much better than your first one. Also, it's kind of not fair because you took all the easy ones. Like, here, at the very least, here's the thing we can say about Charlie. Charlie didn't use common, Kamen, as the word common, like most of yours.
You know what I'm looking at?
Command. It's impressive.
I wasn't just letting you hang on that one. I was reading my other ones real quick and trying to figure out how many times I did that.
Sometimes you do just leave me hanging on things just on purpose, though.
I wanted to clarify because that felt like a panic of like, he's not talking.
Sometimes, so, you know, I've podcasted with a lot of people in my lifetime now at this point. Sometimes when you're on the air with somebody and there's like dead air like that, you know, it's like from inexperience, like the person doesn't really know to like jump in and do the banter. With you, I feel like it's always vindictive. Like I know that you're letting me hang on something because I said something dumb or because you want to accentuate, you know, how embarrassing it was. That's how it always works.
Like Abbott and Costello. we have to build the bit.
Truly the Abbott and Costello of our time. I don't know enough about Abbott and Costello to claim which one I want to be. But Charlie, thank you so much for the email.
Yeah, thanks, man. We appreciate it.
We got a couple other emails here. We can jump into emails. So our good friend Shade also sent in an email for this week. Shade gives us some more information and trivia kind of about the show, so we can run down through what Shade is talking about. As you send me an Abbott and Costello picture, this tells me nothing.
No, I'm the one with the hat, and you're the.
They
one
both are wearing. Oh, all right. You sent me a picture of two men wearing hats, and you just said, "I'm the one with the hat."
You know which one is which. Let's get serious.
Genuinely do not.
All right, read Shade's email.
No, we're gonna dig into this. Which one is a hat, and which one in your eyes cannot be qualified as a hat?
So you answered too quick. I was gonna say you're the one with the tie that's getting pulled, with the adorable lost look on his face.
Yeah,
I'm the guy with the hat that's pulling the tie. You got overexcited.
Yeah, that seems fair. I do think our roles have reversed a little bit. Like I think.
In which way?
Well, you know, like the first time that you and I podcast together was like you were sort of the main host and you were dragging me along like in this photo. And now I'm the one who does more of the like leading main hosting. So I feel like it's reversed a little bit where I'm more of the guy with the hat in this image.
We need to go into the Photoshop old days and just switch the two heads on the two bodies for no reason.
Right.
Rather than say like you're the other person, we're just gonna switch the heads on the bodies.
Yeah. Genius.
and then it's a real thing.
Anyway, back to Shade's email. So you and I
today.
we're starting off strong. You and I have really been liking the fight choreography, I think, in the past few episodes that we've watched. And at least for me, it continues through episode 15 that we watched for today. So Shade kind of tells us why that might be. So episodes 13, 14, and 15, the action was directed by Koichi Sakamoto, who apparently is a like veteran action director who's worked on like Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Ultraman, Power Rangers, and a bunch of other toku shows. So I guess the action director switched up around that time, and that's where all the action suddenly got a lot better. It was because they brought in a famed director.
That's definitely a good call on their part then.
Yeah,
it's definitely like ramped up dramatically, and it's way cooler than it used to be.
Yeah, around episode 13, like it kind of feels like a different show when it comes to the action, which is great. I wonder if he's also the fan of like putting action with the theme song over top of it, because they love doing that now.
Yeah, like the last couple episodes, it's definitely a consistent of when shit's about to get crazy because
suddenly Trust Last comes on. Shade says that Kamen Rider Glaire's Vision Driver, that's the driver that Kamen Rider Glaire uses, is the result of the success of last year's Demons Driver in Kamen Rider Revice. The Demons Driver was made with a LED similar to the Vision Driver, and it's more expensive as the toy than your usual rider belts are, because they're aimed at like an older audience, essentially.
So they're aimed for us. Us with disposable incomes and nothing better to do with their time, and
us with the disposable income, and us that get like weird boners for hacking, like movie hacking specifically. Yeah.
So here's my fun thing I found the other day when I was doing a bunch of research about other ridiculous shows I'm watching. The same stuntman, Josh, plays all of the throwaway characters in the costumes.
Oh, like all of the like non-main riders?
Yeah, so like Punk Jack, the Owl, Depan, and some other ones are all played by the same stuntman because he doesn't have to double up. He just has different characters all the time, and he has to keep them working. That's what he has to do.
Interesting. It's cool to know. What research led you to Kamen Rider knowledge? What were you looking up?
So I was watching Alice in Borderlands.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to figure out where the one lady was from. So I looked her up, and I was like, wow, she's married to the guy who played Ace Attorney live action in Japanese shows. Oh. And from there, I realized that he was in Kamen Rider. So I was like, wow, she's married to a Kamen Rider. And then from there, I was trying to figure out how many people write Kamen Rider because the stories are pretty good. And I was like, is there just one person doing 50 episodes or a group of people? So when I found the staff list of Kamen Rider Geats, I found out that one same actor plays lots of different people.
Nice. Yeah, I would imagine that it works probably a lot like Hollywood shows do, where there's a writing team, but maybe like a single person gets credited like per episode or something. But I haven't dug into it. But
that's the common hole I went down.
the common hole. I also didn't know that there was a like Japanese live action Ace Attorney.
I mean, there's everything. I through all my research, I found out they have pretty much live action everything that was like a popular cartoon or animated thing. Yeah. But shout out to Masato Sudamune for playing lots of suit actors.
Shout out. Yeah, we're gonna get that into it where we start knowing suit actor names, because that's a thing. Like people definitely know suit actors and can sometimes recognize them just when they show up based on their movements and stuff. I am not there. I'm not that deep of a fan.
Suit actor seems like one of those roles where like you're probably hyped. You're like, wow, I get to play Punk Jack in the costume. I'm cool. And you tell your friends, and they're like, bullshit, man. And you're like, no, seriously, it's me.
No way, like, that's you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it probably is. It'd be the same thing if you like, you're the guy who played Darth Vader, or like you're the guy who was in R2-D2 or something. Like, that's totally me. Like, whatever, man. It's like remote control. There's not even a person in there.
Cool. You went beep boop beep boop. Good job.
I'm really bad in general with actors. Like even in like English speaking stuff in Hollywood movies. Like I generally don't know a ton of actors' names for the most part. Like I'll recognize faces, but like people also get very into the suit actors that were in Godzilla too. Like specifically like the different eras of Godzilla and who was in the suits and those particular things. And if you go back and watch some of those old Godzillas, like their movements are so exaggerated that it is very clear that like, oh, this is the same dude who was in that other movie, because he's doing the exact same weird hand motions or whatever. He's bouncing up and down in the same way when he walks.
On that same vibe, there have been 4 or maybe 5 now Jason Voorhees actors, like so just big hulking man in a hockey mask.
Yeah,
but they all have their different ways that they play him, I guess obviously physically with how they do things. So that's a hot debate too, of like
who's the best,
which Jason is your Jason / the best Jason kind of thing.
It's like the horror equivalent of like the Star Trek captains.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's great. Shade goes on to tell us that so the game master, who is also Kamen Rider Glare, Girori, previously played King Maya of the Magic Land in Kamen Rider Wizard in Magic Land movie. I've not watched that movie. I've also not watched Kamen Rider Wizard, unfortunately. Apparently the role was not that memorable, but there's an actor again that has played sort of multiple characters in Kamen Rider, which is interesting that there's been kind of that many like, you know, Kamen Rider and Sentai crossovers that Shade's pointed out, and like Kamen Rider and Kamen Rider crossovers. Like, yeah, it's interesting they go back to the kind of the same actor well sometimes. Shade says that Ace's actor has been pretty busy for the past month promoting the movie and the new Kamen Rider exhibition alongside Revice and the first Kamen Riders actors. And then Shade linked to kind of the opening exhibition video, which I also shared with you, which it's pretty interesting. So it's like there are, I don't think it's like necessarily always the suits from the shows, because they don't look exactly the same. In some cases, and it's probably not the actual suit actors either. It's just, you know, people they've hired, I would guess. But
so it's like when you rent an Elmo suit to go to a child's birthday party. It's like good enough.
Exactly.
But you know it's not the suit.
Or it's like when you go to like Disneyland and it's like, you know, you see like the characters bouncing around and it's like, yeah, okay, you're a convincing you know, Donald Duck, but you don't look like you did in the cartoon. It's
you look real.
Sure. But it's interesting because they're all like walking down the stairs. They do their quick little pose, and you get like a really good view of what that Kamen Rider looked like, which I think is something you probably hadn't really seen before. Is like the full breadth of the history of Kamen Rider as it pertains to the suits themselves.
Well, like there's a bunch of like random fun ones. Like I kind of clicked through like each like generation that came down, I guess we'll call it.
Yep.
And then it hit the stretch where there was like 4 or 5 green full costumed, look like praying mantis guys in a row.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the Kamen Rider I know. Or at least like my vague understanding of what it was.
Yeah, like at the beginning, early Kamen Rider was like, it was definitely variations on a theme for a while, where like they kept a lot of the same stuff here and there, and then it gets crazy. Obviously, like the one guy comes down Kamen Rider Drive, like has like a tire around his midsection. X8, who we've talked about before, is like pink with green hair.
I was excited about him.
Yeah.
So like when I saw him, I was like, oh, that's what he looks like. Cool.
Yeah, he's crazy looking. Even you know, Kamen Rider 01, who's the yellow one towards the end, he is like in some ways more traditional because he looks like a grasshopper. You know, he kind of pulls from those early designs, but also just because the fact that he's like bright yellow and that's kind of the only distinguishing color on him, is like radically different looking. So yeah, they've really like, I feel like ratcheted up the design over the years. But it's interesting going back and looking at some of the old ones, and some of them hold up really well. Like I think Kuga, which is like the one that's sort of red, has kind of like a hard red chest piece. I think he still looks pretty cool. And yeah, the original Kamen Rider I think still looks awesome too. But
Here's
cool seeing him on there.
your random pool for the day. I'm sure you know. So the colony from wrestling,
Yeah.
all the ants. That's pretty much the vibe I get from that video.
Yeah, I think that's probably like I think that the Kamen Rider had to be a bit of an inspiration for the colony over the years. Has to be, and definitely they're also pulling from just like lucha traditions and stuff like that too. But if you're not, go ahead.
I say, if you don't know what we're talking about, the colony is like a wrestling tag team trio, quadrio, whatever.
They've had a ton of members over the years.
Yeah, they're all just ants, but it's like fire ant and green ant and stuff like that. So it's basically almost the same costume, and they all look like ants, but just color splash changes.
Yep.
So that was my reference.
There's like a soldier ant, and he's the ant, but he's in camo. Fire ants in red, obviously. Like, yeah, they all have like variations on the theme, but like it's very clear they're all from the same lineage, which is totally Kamen Rider for sure. Like, they all share the same design elements. And just like Kamen Rider, you can't tell who they are when they're in their masks. They just go by, the ant name. Did you know that Orange Cassidy was, I think, Fire Ant?
I found out years later.
Okay,
and I didn't. All excited. I never knew.
I
never knew
didn't know at the time. Yeah, but yeah, so they're still out there on the grand stage, I guess, or the various ants.
Anyway, that's been your wrestling minute.
Yeah. I could talk about wrestling for upwards of 1 minute, apparently. There's some crazy, we got to talk about wrestling maybe for like 30 seconds after this email, because there's some crazy stuff going on. But Shade goes on and links us to a couple other videos of the exhibition that's happening, which is actually really cool. So it's like a museum sort of like archive of Kamen Rider. So it's like all of the various like gadgets that Kamen Rider has used over the years on the shows, all of the suits on display, and you can kind of like walk through and view it all like we would have here for a traveling museum display. So it seems pretty cool. It seems limited from what I was looking it up, like limited time. But yeah, there's a bunch of videos of like Ace's actor kind of walking through and touring it. At one point he like signs a wall because they have a big like poster board thing up where clearly there's going to be a bunch of actors come through and sign up and stuff. So it's pretty cool. And then Shade finishes this email out with something truly wonderful, Toby.
I can't wait.
Shade sends us the full version of Neon's dance. So early in the show, Neon has this like idol-esque dance for her Twitch stream. And it's just a short clip in the show as kind of the intro to her stream, but then they recorded a full version, so you get the full song and the full dance with it.
And all the peasants rejoiced.
It is, yeah. Not usually my thing of the like super kawaii Japanese girl thing, but
yes, it is. Shut up.
I was pretty into it. I was pretty into this one. And then Shade sends us a second email to tell us a couple more things that he had forgotten. First is that Geats' OST, the original soundtrack, Volume 1, was released about a month ago. And that had also missed me, so that's nice to hear.
I think I found that looking for something else we were looking for the one day.
Nice.
It doesn't include the cake conversation. I think I found.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And then he also links Geats' the song from the movie is called "Change My Future." It doesn't do it for me, I gotta say. I don't know if you've listened to that one yet, but it's like the movie theme, and it's like slow, and it doesn't have that punch that I want a Kamen Rider song to have, unfortunately.
So it's funny you mentioned that. So let's say you really like the song, like anime intro.
I really like this song.
The Geats intro, whatever. If you and I were having a conversation, we'll say, and I was like, Kamen Rider Geats has the best intro, and you were like, no, you fool, Kamen Rider Kuga or one of them has the best intro.
Yeah.
So we both argue our points. And then I was like, look at this, listen to this cover of the Geats intro. This is the sickest song ever. Do you think it's fair to use a cover as a reference to be like, this is why the song is so good? Because when you find a cool cover of it, it's better? Or should it only be core material versus core material?
I think core material versus core material. Because the cover if it's cooler than the original, like it's bringing something new to the table. So it's not the original song. Like there are lots of covers that I love where I don't even really like enjoy the original song that much because they're that much different.
But it could still be a great song though. That's what makes it so great, because the cover just amplifies the coolness of the song.
Okay, I'm now realizing this is an argument you were having with someone else, and I've chosen the opposite of your side.
After years of being together, Abbott and Costello are really nailing the gimmick here.
No, I mean, like they're different songs at that point. Like if there are cover songs, there are covers of songs that are similar enough that I think they could be like evaluated together, right? But if you're saying that the cover is good and the original's not as good, then they're different enough. They're different songs. That's my thoughts.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Keep going.
Was this about Kamen Rider, or was it about something else that this original conversation was about?
A mix of Kamen Rider and other things in general.
Okay. What cover did you find?
So Tokyo Ghoul has the greatest opening theme song of all time.
You've made me listen to it before, yeah.
Right. And there's a metal cover of it, which is even better. And I'm like, this is why this is the greatest song ever. And then it all just goes to shit.
Yeah, that's a good metal song at that point. Yeah.
Shut up.
Oh man. So wrestling is like Succession, but like dumb now. Have you been keeping up with wrestling news?
Vaguely.
This is
the main stuff, yes. The obvious, right. Like, where's WWE going thing?
Yeah. If you guys out there like Kamen Rider and you like stupid drama, you gotta start reading up on wrestling news. Don't watch wrestling, because that's just a horrible path to take your life down. But read wrestling news, because it's insane. So real quick, 30-second explainer. Vince McMahon was the head of WWE. He gets ousted because of like sexual assault claims. He's gone for 6 months. He was still the majority shareholder for the company, so he just inserted himself back onto the board after getting booted out of the company, because he can do that. Kicked off 3 other members of the board, so he just installed this dummy board now that will do whatever he wants, and now he's attempting to sell the company. There was a rumor a couple of days ago that he'd sold it to literally the Saudi Arabian government. Turns out that's not true, but maybe could still happen. And yeah, like, now
it's all been like the CEO shakeup is really like the wildest part of all this.
Yes,
he installed like a dummy regime of like, yeah, just sit here and do what I say.
Yeah. He brought in people to do his bidding, and the previous co-CEO was his daughter, who resigned like the second he took back power. Like he comes back in, and she's like, "Well, I'm out," and she's out of the company entirely. Like this doesn't happen in real life. This is a TV show. This is insane. Like the dude didn't pick up a hobby while he was, retired in disgrace. He plotted his supervillain revenge. Like, I don't even know what's happening. It reminds me of like Kamen Rider or something insane, like just wild stuff happening in wrestling right now. But that's your 30 seconds about wrestling. All right, let's spend 30 seconds on Kamen Rider then and call this an episode. All right.
So for the record, we're probably about like 25 minutes in right now. So anyone that hung in with us so far, we're very proud of you. Thank you very much.
Well, we talked about Kamen Rider a little bit, and talked about emails. Things happened.
Episode 15.
Episode 15. So to recap, to catch you all up on sort of what's happening in Kamen Rider for episode 14, Punk Jack has been hacked by Kamen Rider Glare. Gurori knocked his helmet off, took him over, and then Punk Jack basically turned on Geats at that point. They fought, and dun dun dun, Geats has been eliminated from the DGP.
The thing we never saw coming up until this point. We expected it way later if it was happening.
Yeah, can't believe it really occurred. So then that leaves Keiwa, Neon, and Buffa still in the game, and I guess not controlled. Like technically, Punk Jack is still there too, but obviously he's a zombie, so whatever. Neon and Keiwa are definitely having doubts about their ability to compete in the game without Geats. He turns out was definitely their security blanket, the person who solved all their problems, and they are having a massive crisis of faith now at this point of competing. and saving the world without Geats.
Yeah, like when you literally have the answer for everything, it's hard to probably be without that person who is
Yeah.
like, hey, by the way, I've solved every remote mystery you guys have ever run into, and now I'm gonna go take a nap, and now you guys are on your own.
I'm sure you've had this in your job too, like as you've progressed through it. But like at some point, I distinctly remember the realization that like, oh, I'm I'm the person who like is the last say now. Like I'm the last line of defense. Like if I don't have the answer, it just doesn't get solved. Like because like when you first start, you have people above you who you would go to for help and stuff, and like at some point, like priorities and power shifts and stuff, and it becomes you. And yeah, that's a very jarring moment. So I feel for Neon and I feel for Kwa.
That's very nice of you.
This episode opens up. Geats has, of course, lost his memory because he's been eliminated from the game, but he's still sort of family with Sumi and the game master. He doesn't remember anything about them, but they're still there in his house.
Yeah, like I didn't think about why that would be the case at first, but then I realized like I guess until someone else wins the game, like his wish is still the wish. Like
yeah,
it didn't reset yet, so he is still a family with the DGP staff. He just doesn't know that they're DGP staff probably or what the hell they're doing.
He wouldn't remember anything about them, just know that they're family. Yeah. I liked this is kind of just the opening scene, but I really liked that they're doing some small talk at the table, and I think the game master says like, "Oh, being a star sounds pretty tedious," and Geats corrects him, "It's actually star of the stars," which is great.
What's on deck today, kiddo?
Yeah, what are you up to? Yeah, you're heading down to the library. It sounded like very like Uncle Ben talking to Peter Parker. As soon as Geats leaves, Sumi yells at the game master, basically saying like, "This isn't right. Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Enough! I'm protecting the game. I'm making the game run smoothly." So he's on a full-on power trip.
Which is getting worse and worse over the past couple episodes. Like a
Yeah.
full blown, like there's like the early joke or statement was like he's playing a little loose with the rules, but still like trying to hold shit together. And now is hardcore, just like this game needs to end, so this shit kid is no longer in my life.
Yeah, he's tossed them 100% out the window. The next scene here is interesting. So, and it sort of, I guess it undoes like what I was expecting to be true about sort of the nature of the game. So the game master calls the guy in the greenhouse who we've been seeing kind of raising the Giamato, and he says the greenhouse guy basically says like, "Oh, now is the time for my Giamato to defeat the world." And the game master like is antagonistic with him and says like, "Well, I've still got experienced riders on my side, like I can still take him down." But like it isn't, it's not like they're working together, which is what I thought was happening. It is very like, no, I'm raising Giamato and I'm trying to kill the world, and you're amassing riders who are trying to stop me.
I vaguely respect your job, but I don't like your job. I'm going to work as hard as possible to make sure you fail.
Yeah, maybe that's more what it is, I guess, because they still have each other's phone numbers. So maybe they're just like very strong, like work rivals, I guess. I don't know. But certainly weird, and also like we start to see here that the game master maybe realizes that getting Geats eliminated puts the whole like experienced riders thing in question. Like maybe he doesn't actually have anyone who can defeat these stronger Giamato now. Who knows?
We have this idiot kid and this girl that just wants a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy that wins everything isn't so bad.
I've got those two, and then I've got this other guy who just wants to kill every Kamen Rider, which feels like not a good thing.
If he wins, I have no backup ever again.
We find out that the game for this episode is Battleship, which I never quite understood how it was Battleship.
So as soon as they said it, I thought of like Battleship, like the C7 You Sunk My Battleship game, like the old school board game.
Yeah.
I saw no ties into how this is Battleship whatsoever, unless I missed something for somehow.
It must have just meant that like the final boss is a like giant battleship that floats over the city or something.
Or you're battling the ship.
maybe, yeah. But basically, the game is just that you have to protect the city, defeat Giamato, save civilians, and you do that by earning points. It's just a points battle. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Which is odd, but yeah, it's not Battleship. It certainly isn't Battleship. No one at any point in this says you sank my battleship, which I was very excited about having happen. But I was sadly my hopes were dashed. Everyone sort of, and by everyone I mean like Kawa and Neon mostly, but a little bit of Buffa kind of finds their resolve here by thinking about their wishes. Like, I'm gonna make my wish come true. They all kind of dive into battle. And yeah, the Giamato are much tougher than they were before, even kind of the previous battle. And it seems like they've all leveled up, especially the riders. And this is definitely the point where the game master is actively worried about the riders being able to succeed, but he decides that Buffa can do it. Maybe Buffa will be the winner of the DGP.
He's doubling down. He's backing a different pony.
Yeah, any pony who looks like they're not, weeping in the corner.
They're not 12 years old, nervous about life.
He's willing to say, you're going to be the winner for me. It's at this point, Toby, that a civilian Geats shows up. So Ace rolls in, of course, has no memory still, but he sees Buffa and basically sees Buffa just get completely destroyed.
Well, so real quick before we get to that point, the one thing that we did find out in the battle that's going on before we find human Geats or human Ace, I guess we have to call him now.
Yeah.
They kind of confirmed that the Giamato are the dead riders in flashbacks.
Yeah, because they've been saying
they've been hinting towards the buckles and stuff, but they started matching up a lot of the statements with people from like the old guy that died all the way in the beginning when Kawa first started.
Yeah,
he's definitely one of the new Giamato because he says he can't afford to lose just yet, which is what the guy said all the way in the beginning because his kid was sick. He was doing it for his family. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. So yeah, either they straight up became the writers, or the writers absorbed them in such a way that they've learned all their statements and stuff. But yeah, there are multiple writers that they flash back to with the statements that the Giamato writers are saying. So it's pretty clear, and I think Buffa even realizes it in this part of the fighting that oh wait, what? That can't be him. So yeah, that seems like what the case is. But Buffa at this point, like I said, gets kind of let's say mortally wounded. So he gets kind of taken out. Ace runs up to kind of help him.
Suitless
right?
Ace. Yes, plain ass Ace still has the skills and the desire to be like, these weird monsters are attacking. I should probably do something and help these cool guys in suits.
Yeah, because first, before this, he helps the Giamato break into the photo shoot that he's having, and he kind of fights him off, pushes him off, and helps the people that are his staff and stuff at the time. So he's already a little heroic, without having his memories or having his powers. And then that continues out here. So he holds Buffa kind of in his arms as Buffa's dying, and Buffa gives this kind of speech a little bit, right? It starts out first he says, of course, all the Kamen Rider deserve to die. You're all the same to me. But then as he's kind of holding him, he's like, you always said that, as long as I keep playing, I can win eventually, but you can always do it. And I can't. What's the difference between us? And then Buffa says, make me believe in you, which I thought was pretty fun. At this point, go ahead.
So I have in my notes that we have to pull a hard stop right now.
Yeah.
So as of this point in the show, if nothing changes, one of the two wishes, if the game is won, is either ultimate world peace or a girl gets a boyfriend.
Equal stakes, I think. Yeah, equal stakes. That's amazing. Because
again, I didn't see Buffa dropping like this. And then as soon as he did, I wrote down my thing. I was like, make sure Josh stops right here and point this out to him.
Oh, that's great. I do love so I love Neon as a character too. And I love that after all the growth that she has made over the course of this season so far, she still is so determined about her wish. Like she's still so into that being her wish and that being a goal and the outcome. Like I feel like you've grown enough by now that like you would realize that's a little frivolous, but
And
maybe
well,
not.
especially the past couple episodes, it seemed like she was over that aspect of it. Like
But she kind of doubles down this episode. She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna find my true love. Yeah, let's do it. I can do it."
I guess when it was within grasp, it seemed like the thing. But does she know that? Was if she was friends with Geats in one of those old conversations? Does she know you can't wish for the same thing twice? Because I forget because I forget who found out when about
I think
that ability or lack of ability. I guess.
I think Geats told her, right? Because Kawa was the one who was like, you know, having a horrible time. So I think Geats was told her about it. Yeah.
So maybe that's why she's maybe fighting for it again, because she's like, hey, if I don't get this time and I lose, I'm not going to have the will or drive after this is over
to ever do
this again.
Yeah, to ever find the person I love. That could be. Yeah. Also,
so
maybe
I'll give her some credit.
Maybe too, if like if Geats isn't there and like you have nothing else to cling to cling to, you might as well like decide to cling to your original wish. Like, yeah, okay, I could.
Yeah, boyfriend, let's go.
Yeah. So at this point, Buffa kind of pulls off his driver. It starts to crack. His ID core cracks, meaning he's being eliminated, and he kind of thrusts it into Ace's hands. Ace, his finger touches Buffa's ID core. So if you're watching that closely, you realize that Geats is going to be getting his memories back, and he does. Okay, so basically, cut to back in the lounge. We're back. Kawa and Neon are there, and they have brought Geats back with them because he kind of grabbed them and said, like, "Oh, we have to get to safety." The game master is not happy to see Geats.
and Geats both of them pretty much just go guns blazing with any information humanly possible as like giant FUs back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. So like the first thing that Ace does is call him Game Master. So Kawa and Neon are like, "What? Nani?" So yeah, that's all out on the table. Geats says that he wants his ID core back. The Game Master, of course, says, "No, I'm not letting you back in this game." And Geats says, "Like, I don't want to join the game. Yeah, I just want the ID core back." So they argue back and forth about that a little bit. Meanwhile, Kawa and Neon like now are trying to question the Game Master now that they found out he's the Game Master. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's the nature of this game? What are you not telling us? Like, they're doing their best to kind of ask questions at this point.
And along with that, it's hilarious because like Geats is acting the same way towards the Game Master that they are, but the presentation is so different that like they ask him questions. KY or Neon ask questions, and he's so calm and like passive with them, and like, well, I think you can do it, but there are still rules you guys have to follow, and this is the way it's supposed to work. But if Geats is like, I want to come back in, he's like, go fuck yourself. No, you're not.
Exactly. I've had enough of your shit. Oh, you're out of here. In kind of I think a means to like placate Kawa, the GM hands over a boost buckle. He's like, "Oh, yeah, you guys can do it. Here, this'll help." He just gives them an extra boost buckle. Well, yeah, you got this.
Yeah, because like he says to Neon, "Don't you want to realize your ideal world calmly?" And then she says, "I don't think we have the skills for it." So he goes, "I understand. So here, let me help you with this."
Yeah,
and it's just like so calm and passive compared to how he was literally just talking to Geats.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, you're here. Get out of here." So Geats, at this point he's told Geats, "No, you can't have your buckle back. You're not qualified to be a Kamen Rider." Sumi, however, steps in and says, "Well, actually," she pulls the ultimate. Actually, he is qualified to be a Kamen Rider because his very first wish that when he won the DGP the very first time was that he would compete in the Desire Grand Prix until he dies. So until that moment, he's qualified to continue to be a Kamen Rider.
Along with that, this starts the ultimate like people say like, oh, they're playing 4D chess as like a joke of like you're one level past where everyone else is supposed to be. Geats is on like this starts like Geats's like 27D chess game of like
Yeah. This is my favorite part of the episode. He gets the driver back basically, and then the game master, he kind of maybe smirks or something, and the game master's like, "You weren't planning this. Like this wasn't your plan all along, was it?" And then we cut to some flashbacks where basically, yes, it was his plan all along. He wakes up in his room. He sees a poster of himself, which kind of has a little bit of a coded message, which tells him to look at a different poster, which tells him to look behind the poster, which is essentially, it's like the full written out explanation that begins with like, "To my amnesiac self."
Yes,
and
that was a quote I wrote down.
Yeah. And he explains the fact that like you don't have your memories. You maybe will see soldiers that are wearing a belt buckle. You have to touch the belt buckle. That'll give you all the memories back. Like writes out the full explanation for like, you don't have you don't have any memories. Here's what you do. And that was why Ace was acting the way it was. And yes, this was the plan all along, that he would lose his memories and then he would be able to get his position back because of his first wish. Definitely 4D chess. Incredible. I also, at some point, you and I joked about someone losing their memories because they were eliminated, and doing like a 51st dates-esque like here's what's going on note to like
And they
remind
did it.
themselves. That's literally what happened here. So awesome. So Ace is back. He borrows the boost buckle. So he's like, I'm going to take this. And he heads out.
And he basically says like, I said it sounded like super villainy, but his quote is like, "Leave the world to me," and
Yeah.
just like he just leaves him there. He just says like, "You two stay here. I'm gonna go solve this problem real quick. It's fine." And
he might as well have said, "Daddy's got it." Because so what happens here is an amazing fight sequence. So again, like really, really fantastic choreography. But what happens is he goes out, he kicks ass, and he beats the final boss all by himself.
Yeah, that doesn't seem plussed by it. He just goes
Nope.
out and he's like, "Yep, it's time to go."
Gets the job done.
To go back to our earlier conversation, it plays the stupid OP again.
Yep.
But this time, because I was like, I know it's just going to be a fight, I don't really need to pay attention. I watched the English translation of the lyrics to the song, and it pretty much explains the show word for word. So I was actually impressed that that's what the lyrics were. But I guess it's not like a famous song overlaid the show. It was
they wrote it for this. Yeah.
So I guess it makes more sense.
They're usually pretty good about that. Like they're usually pretty good about the lyrics, if not like laying out the plot of the show, like really heavily explaining the themes of the show. So yeah, that's usually fun to like read the translations of the theme songs for that reason. So wipes out final boss, of course, but dun dun dun, game doesn't clear. So Ace is like, "What's going on? The game's not over." Turns out the game master has pulled a fast one on everybody. The game isn't over because the game master has simply decided that it's not over. And he's going to be holding the Desire Deity Playoffs. So Kawa and Neon have one more chance to win, and he's inviting Ace into the game for the playoffs. So again, the game master in the 1000th example of it is completely making up the rules as he goes at this point and doing anything he wants to attempt to eliminate Geats. But
so it's funny though. So I usually, especially since maybe the first couple, I always read the stupid DGP rule at the end of the episode because they always do the little recaps. And I guess the official rule is a game is not cleared until the game master says it's cleared.
Yep. That's what we learned this episode.
So it's actually funny that like they hard coded in the rules, like you guys can do whatever you want to do. But by the way, like if I say we're not done, we're just not done. Like it's just
yeah, it does seem like, as far as the structure of the Desire Grand Prix goes, it seems like the game masters have a lot of power. Yeah, they have a lot of they have a lot of leeway in doing whatever they want. He's only gotten yelled at that one time so far. And I feel like he's very much overstepped his bounds multiple times. So, yeah, seems like he's got a long leash. But so that's it. Geats found his way back. I didn't expect him to be back, a mere half an episode later, but here we are. I didn't expect him to be eliminated in the first place. So
yeah, like it was pretty much the most seamless transition from like out to back in, and no memory wipe or anything that we've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely. Because in perfect Ace fashion, it was all planned. There was never any doubt that he was going to get his driver back. It's just step 5 of 17.
Just another day in his life.
Yep. All right, so that's gonna do it for our show. I think that's gonna do it for our episode. I'm really excited about the next episode. Excited to see where this goes, and probably see the end of a game. We'll see how that goes.
Who will be the grand victor?
We all will be, Toby. All of us. Yeah. So that's gonna do it for us. If you want to check out all of our past episodes, you can do that. You can check out the podcast version by searching for The Kamen Riders in your favorite podcasting app, or you can check out the video version of the show. You can go to kamenridersucks.com to find the video playlists, or you can check out the website kamenriders.com as well. You also should subscribe to us, leave reviews in those places, give us the old YouTube thumbs up. All that stuff is always helpful.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Ring the bell.
Or whatever they used to say. I don't
know. Yeah. You can also find us on the internet when we're not doing the Kamen Riders. Toby, where can the people find you?
On Twitter, I'm at Life of Tobes, Tobes, and on YouTube, I am at Tobes Plays, where, Josh, you'll be surprised to know, I'm currently not playing a Yakuza game, but I'm playing Judgment, which is like Yakuza, but if you're a lawyer.
Yeah, you are. Got it. I'm actually the most shocked that you hadn't played those already.
They're not on the computer. They were not on the personal computer up until a month or two ago. So I had no way to, because I wasn't going to buy a PlayStation for all this.
That seems reasonable.
Thank you.
You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr. I am at PrettyDeeceJosh on both of those. That's PrettyDecejosh. Yeah, that's going to do it for us for this week. We'll be back next week for episode 16. Until then, have a great week. See you, everybody.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the sonic roof up. I'm too honest when I take a few shots. They're too